It's a head scratcher morning. Again, head scratchers are for the Calvinists, for the reformers that follow Calvinism, those that follow TULIP, whether you're moderate, whether you're hyper. Question about Romans 9. Romans 9, when you go to many different Bible translations, the New King James, the NIV, the ESV, the NAS, the NASB, the NASB 95, all these different translations, sometimes chapters are broken into sections, and those sections get headings. When you go from Bible to Bible, you'll see different headings. Here's kind of the question. The question is, why do so many Bibles in Romans chapter 9 have way different headings than what the Calvinists teach? And I'll give you a few examples. First, know that I looked at about 14 different translations. I happen to have the New King James Version. This is actually the first one I looked at. I went because I thought this would be a solid Bible and at the same time pretty popular and neutral. And I don't know. I don't know the committee that decided to translate this way, but look at the heading. If you know anything about Romans 9 and what the Calvinists teach, individual election unto salvation, individual people chosen for salvation before time begins, and then during time, they're saved by irresistible means and works, and they believe that's what Romans 9 teaches. Here's the headings. Israel's rejection of Christ, Israel, a whole nation. Next heading, Israel's rejection and God's purpose. A whole nation rejects. God has a purpose. What's the next heading? Again, this is the New King James Version. Israel's rejection and God's justice. God's justice doesn't say anything about individual salvation, although I know the Calvinists love this section. And again, it's a rejection of a whole nation. We know that not all Gentiles are saved, but Gentiles are grafted in. Let's see. And then this is my favorite one. Aha, the present condition of Israel. Notice the New King James translators decided this was about a whole nation. What happens to a nation? What happens to the other people around the nation, such as the Gentiles? By the way, the burnt orange color is my writing. If 27 different questions, thoughts, things I wonder related to the Calvinist position. Now here, notice the NIV seems to lean the Calvinist way. Paul's anguish, then God's sovereign choice. I didn't choose the NIV originally. By the way, this is one of two out of the 15 I checked that seems to maybe lean the Calvinist direction. Notice they only got like 2 headings there. Here's Christian Standard, Israel's present state. God's selection is just. All it says is selection. Selection of what? And selection is not election. God's gracious election of Israel. That's a nation. I know that some Calvinists would argue, oh, no. True Israel is the individuals. And I understand where they're coming from. But I definitely think that there's other ways to have a reasonable, understanding of the entire Bible and not see Israel as individuals, especially in that case. Here's the NASB, which is interesting. It only has one heading, the solicitude. So the worry, the anguish of Paul over Israel, and that's the only heading here. Now, just to prove that I did my homework, you can go to Legacy Standard Bible. Here, you can read my orange stuff too as you listen. So the Legacy Standard, God's chosen people, Israel, one heading the whole way through. We already did the NIV. The modern English version has 3 headings: God's election of Israel, wrath and mercy of God, which is true always. In Israel in the gospel is the 3 headings, nothing about individual salvation. Now, if you go to the ESV version and look at just the headings, you'll see a bent towards Calvinism. And let's see, modern English version, I think maybe we just did that one. New American. The headings are Paul's love, God's free choice. Free choice of what? Oh, could it be the free choice of allowing Gentiles to take the reins, to be the new covenant masters or overseers, so to speak? And then in the New American, another heading is Witness of the Prophets, which again is interesting because the witness of the prophets is for everyone. In modern day, now that we have the finished canon of Scripture. So the overall head scratcher, if you've watched for 6 minutes, is why the differences in the headings? Why are so many headings and so many translations, or not translations, but translations, versions? Why are there so many headings that have nothing to do with individual salvation, individual election unto salvation, regeneration, new birth, irresistible means? If Calvinism is true, the NASB we covered. Only one heading, the NASB 95 we just covered. King James has nothing. The Darby has nothing. The 21st century King James has no headings, so those 3 have no headings. Why is Romans 9 in so many versions not have any headings related to what the Calvinists teach, if we're all trying to work by the same Spirit for the same truth?